First, there was the Hatfields and the McCoys. Now there's the Trumps and the media. Today's battle began with Ivanka Trump declaring that the press is not the enemy of the people. But it ended with White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders refusing to say the same to CNN reporter and serial grandstander Jim Acosta.
It's ironic, Jim, that not only you and the media attack the president for his rhetoric when they frequently lower the level of conversation in this country. Repeatedly, the media resorts to personal attacks without any content other than to incite anger. The media has attacked me personally on a number of occasions, including your own network, said I should be harassed as a life sentence, that I should be choked. ICE officials are not welcomed in their place of worship, and personal information is shared on the internet. When I was hosted by the Correspondents Association, of which almost all of you are members of, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. In fact, as I know, as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection.
Slow clap. Come on. That was unbelievable. Sarah Sanders. Acosta responded by walking out of the briefing like the alpha male that he is. After the briefing, the president weighed in, tweeting, quote, "They asked my daughter Ivanka whether or not the media is the enemy of the people. She correctly said no. It is the fake news, which is a large percentage of the media, that is the enemy of the people." There we go. So now that we got that cleared up, what comes next in this off-again romance? My panel is here to discuss. Democratic strategist and attorney Danielle McLaughlin, the Greg Gutfeld Show's favorite correspondent, Katherine Timpf, and Republican pollster and president of Maslansky and Partners, Lee Carter. Welcome, panel.
Yay!
You didn't want to slow clap with me? That was fantastic. Danielle.
You did so well by yourself. I don't think you needed us.
She is, I mean, come on. That was like the final scene in The Karate Kid. I was on my feet. She was ready for that question.
She was. I think she had prepared remarks. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. You know what? That's the job, right? The job is to be attacked. I know she's had some terrible things said about her, but I don't think you can necessarily blame the press for what Michelle Wolf said at a correspondence dinner that is very well known.
I'm just want to.
Oh, do you need me to?
Well, you can continue.
Or I can narrate. You want me to narrate
But I just look. There's compelling video of the president arriving back in New Jersey.
The president is walking.
Yes.
Well, I could do this. I could do this for a living.
I wanted to make sure I got that. But Danielle, she was ready for this. But I love this back and forth. And, you know, they had poor Ivanka this morning asking her the same question.
Stuck in the middle with you again. You know, I think it's dangerous. Okay, I understand there's a lot of vitriol, there's a lot of rhetoric going on, and there's a lot of lost love between the president and the media. But the press is not the enemy of the people. Like, we could be focusing on real enemies like ISIS.
Well, is it, Kat? I don't know what rhetoric is, but...
if you were from New Zealand, you would.
No, but he never said enemy of the people, did he? He always said the fake news, and the media were the ones that got this wrong. For the past 3 months, they keep saying he said journalists were the enemy, that he never said it.
Right, he was obviously just talking about the fake news.
Right.
And fake news, what he means when he says fake news is news that is mean when it talks about him. It's not necessarily always fake, it's just news that's mean. I don't it's just because the press is so important. It's so important to have a media that is able to be critical of the president, no matter who the president is, because that's what helps keep us free. But I guess if I were him and I had a news channel that was covering me negatively all day, every day, I might feel the same way, or I might just really enjoy the attention.
Yeah, I mean, you called it the mean news. I'll take mean news if he wants to change it, but fake news is his nickname, and I'm going to let him keep it, Lee.
Well, I've got to say, it's worked for him by calling it the fake news. Something like 91% of his supporters now doesn't trust the media. He has done his job. He's discredited this whole swath of people who have attacked him. And you're right, it is mean news. It is 100% wall-to-wall negative about the president. But I think this is a very dangerous game that we're playing, that we're living in a society where people don't trust the media. The media has a responsibility. The free media plays a huge role in America, in democracy. And I get that with great, power comes great responsibility. And I think that the media has to be held responsible for when they're not being truthful and when they're being dishonest and when they're being partisan. But the bottom line is a war on the media is really dangerous.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be at some point a stalemate. High-profile Democrats from Bernie Sanders to Kirsten Gillibrand have called for abolishing the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE. But a candidate for New York Attorney General, Zephyr Teachout, just took it a step further. She said today, ICE has to be abolished. And I say that as somebody who's running for one of the top law enforcement jobs in the country. I think it's critical that law enforcement speak out and say this is a tool of cruelty, unconstitutional behavior, illegality. And as Attorney General, I will continue to speak out against ICE. I will prosecute ICE for their criminal acts. Now, aside from the issue of whether it's even possible for a state attorney general to prosecute a federal agency, is this candidate for New York AG being a little dramatic? You know about drama, Kat.
Yes.
Is this drama?
Yeah, this is drama, and obviously it's not possible. In the Constitution, a federal agent cannot be prosecuted by a state. That's not how it works. And I'm sure she knows that. She's just trying to be like, check me out, check how bad I am, ICE, I'm super radical.
Yeah.
She knows it's not really going to happen. It's kind of like when this other guy who was running for office said he was going to build a border wall along the Mexican border and have Mexico pay for it.
You don't think that's going to happen?
That one guy who did that. It's kind of the same thing. When you're campaigning, you say stuff.
Yeah, you do say
and that's what she's doing, is she's just saying stuff. This will never actually happen.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It is dumb. I've got to say, Rahm Emanuel once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. The Democrats have let this crisis go to waste. The fact that children were separated from their parents at the border.
Okay, so that's the crisis, is the children separation.
The Democrats' response has been, let's abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Not let's reunite children, not let's give this a moment to breathe. I mean, even Ivanka today said that was one of the low points of the Republican Party so far, as how that was handled. What do the Democrats do? They don't just take a moment and come up with something reasonable. They go and go crazy. This idea of abolishing ICE is nonsense. It's ridiculous, and it's getting attention, and it shouldn't be.
Why are those Democrats going crazy, Danielle? I mean, they are, after that Ocasio-Cortez victory, there was a lot of, there was wonderful things. Look at this underdog, she came up one. And then she went on the ICE thing, and that it kind of distracted, didn't it?
It did, and I actually agree with you, Lee, that I think that the progressives have gone way out on this. I think what they're trying to say is that the mission of ICE has been corrupted, and that ICE is not using its resources in a way that actually benefits Americans from a homeland security and from a homeland security perspective. So separating children at the border and arresting every person for a misdemeanor is not necessarily the best use of scarce resources. What we should be doing is, MS-13, drug trafficking, human trafficking, all those things. And there have been prosecutors in California, for example, who have said, because we have to arrest everybody, we can't go after the bad guys. We want ICE to go after the bad guys, not arrest the not-so-bad guys.
I like that. That's very Trumpian, Danielle. Going after the bad guys. President Obama, speaking of Ocasio-Cortez, President Obama released his first round of endorsements in the midterm elections, and so far the list is making headlines for who's not on there. Democratic Socialist and media fan favorite Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did not make the cut, leading some to believe her far-left policies are out of touch with the former president's thinking. Adding fuel to the rumors is the fact that Ocasio-Cortez is making her fundraising debut in Hollywood tonight. But in a break with tradition, she will not meet with any of the entertainment industry's Democratic political power brokers. So, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez really the future of the Democratic Party, or just the latest political fidget spinner to trend its way in and out of our lives? Look, when she won that election, her young face was all lit up, Kat, and I thought, I'm excited for her. But yeah, I don't know if she's had a good couple of weeks since then.
No, well, the thing about President Obama and the thing about these Hollywood people is that they're all rich. And I've never heard a rich person say, man, what a bummer it is that I'm so rich. Wish I lived in like a shanty and, had to eat cold beans out of a can. And they know that if she actually gets elected and is more popular, more politicians like her, there's going to be policies that are going to take a lot of money away from the rich. So they don't like that when it comes down to it. They like to say they want to help people in lower classes. They like to act like it's bad to be rich.
Yeah.
But being rich, probably kind of dope. So they don't want to unrich themselves.
You know, I think that's right. And Danielle, I think that the Democratic Party, you had different politicians coming out and saying, oh, she's not the future of our party. And they were kind of talking down her victory. And I think that that's not a good strategy. I mean, they want to appeal to her. She is an insurgent candidate. She's kind of the Trump of the left, the way that Bernie was. You know, you've got to appeal to those people. This is an opening for the right because Trump knows how to go after those working class voters. You know what I'm talking about?
He sure does. He sure does. You know, I think she's not, to Kat's point, she's not taking money because Democrats, and the polling shows this, they don't like money in politics and they don't like super PACs. So this whole thing about her not going to Hollywood and not taking donor money, I think she learned a lesson from Hillary Clinton, for example. She doesn't want to go there. You know, we're seeing this fracturing too, in terms of whether she's the new face of the Democratic Party. She's young, she's vital, she talks about policies in a way that is invigorating to people, and there are policies that show that Democrats care. You know, universal health care, we can talk about the specifics, but they are for the people and of the people. I think that's why she's been so warmly received. But I think the money thing, it's pretty clear she wants to stay away from the big donors and be a candidate of the people.
Yeah, Lee, strategy-wise, I see an opportunity for the Trump wing of the party to go after this kind of vote. I know that their policies don't align in many ways, but for most people, the Trump appeal wasn't the policies. It was the personality, and it was the affection for the little guy. The little guy has affection for her, and I think Republicans ought to be wise and go after her crowd.
There's no question about it. The fact that she is so popular right now almost has nothing to do with her policy and everything to do with her message. She has a message that is targeted at the average working American, saying, let's raise you up. Let's talk about getting you better jobs, better income, better health care. Who does that sound like? That sounds exactly like our president. And you know what? The Democrats would be wise to take a lesson from her and say, you've got to get a message that targets the people, that doesn't talk about resisting and hating and all of that. What they need to do is focus on these people. And the Republicans would be really wise to go after the same thing. And I think that in the midterms, it's going to be critical that they do.
Yeah, and I think that the president, he had his message for the Ocasio voter tonight at the rally. He said it again. He held up his hands and he said, what the hell have you got to lose? That's his favorite appeal. It's very simple, but it just might work. Danielle, Kat, and Lee, thank you so much. President Trump received a new letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Is there another meeting on the agenda, or does he just like having a pen pal? Mike Baker joins me after the break to discuss.